book that I'm going to read for my audition is The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. I'm really excited to share this with you, so let's go ahead and get started. The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs. Or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. So you can see here we have the big bad wolf, and you have a hamburger with bunnies and lots of other little critters that are in that sandwich. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about how a sneeze and a cup of sugar became a big misunderstanding. This is the real story. Way back, once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I had run out of sugar. If you've ever had cake, you know that. Sugar is a very important ingredient. So we have the wolf here, making his dear sweet old granny a cake. It's got some eggs and maybe a bunny rabbit, but it's a wolf's cake. Who knows? So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build an entire house out of straw? You can see the wolf here with his cup for his cup of sugar, walking down the street to this house made of straw. So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and achoo! You can see here the wolf's big sneeze destroying the house with a little pig inside. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. So I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the house next door to see my next door neighbor. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf! You can't come in! I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." You can see the house here, made of sticks, and the pig shaving the hairs on his chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt I was going to have another sneeze. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. Achoo! And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing that there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house out of brick. You can see the brick house right here. And the full wolf after eating 2 little pigs. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf! Don't bother me again." You see the wolf here and the brick house? Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar. And he wouldn't even give me 1 little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Do it with me. 1, 2, 3. Achoo! And I sneezed once again. Achoo! The third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." See the poor wolf here sneezing, and the mean little pig in the brick house. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down this little pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. You can see the wolf huffing and puffing, and the house is staying up. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 little pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? See the big bad wolf here in jail, and he still needs a cup of sugar for his dear, sweet old granny. So that's the end of the true story of the 3 little pigs. Stay tuned for our next story.